Hi guys, if you guys have been watching our Facebook and following along in our story, I recently posted about our move and I wanted to make a video just kind of going over it and explaining it. We built our first homestead from the ground up with cash, and it was a really long process, and we decided to sell it to get our sweat equity out of it and help us start over with building another one from the ground up, but this time it would go a little bit smoother having that cash in hand. So I just kind of wanted to share with you guys our story of our move and how that all went. Take you back. When we decided to sell, it wasn't because we didn't love our homestead. We did. We took the plunge into our off-grid homesteading lifestyle with hardly any money at all. I'm being so honest because I want to help encourage others. With every commission check I would make from real estate, we would add to our homestead. Honestly, it is super freeing to do it this way. Not being in debt is amazing, but it takes time and patience to get to where you want to be. With me being a real estate agent, I saw what we created and the sweat equity we had created and presented my husband with a business opportunity. After 2 years of building our homestead, we decided to list it just to see what would happen. Pretty quickly, we had a showing, and I didn't want to waste anyone's time, so I made sure that the buyer was qualified because it would need to be a cash purchase because no bank would lend on an off-grid, dry, halfway completed cabin. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure that cabin is built better than some products that construction companies just throw up. They were qualified, and the agent assured me that this is exactly what these buyers were looking for. So we got the cabin and property show ready. I was so nervous. I have been very select with the people we have had out to see it because it's such a different lifestyle than anyone we know, and I could see it for what it one day would be, and more importantly, appreciated all of the hard work we as a family have done to create our home. So to have a buyer come out means that they will need to see it and see all of it. They needed to see if it was the right fit for their family. That feeling that day was crazy. I felt so vulnerable, protective, scared, excited, proud, anxious. My husband had created this with his own 2 hands. The kids and I helped every step of the way. I have worked my butt off to fund it. My babies have learned so much here. We have so many memories. I have changed so much as a person because of this place. What's going to happen next? Could we really do it if they want to buy it? It seemed like the buyers and their agent were there for what seemed like forever, but they left with hardly any indication of what their thoughts were. As we waved goodbye, Chad says, "I'm not selling this place." I thought, oh crap. Regardless of any business opportunity, I would never sell my husband's dream or force him to do it over again. We can make it work. We can continue to slowly get it done. All of that was totally fine with me. Him and I dreamed constantly, continually changing our plans, talking nonstop about our future, our baby's future, and one day having a legacy for our grandchildren. I knew all of his thoughts and he knew all of mine. We had talked about every scenario. We got super excited for what we could do next and how much easier it would be with a chunk of cash in hand, one step closer to our big end goal. But I understood where he was coming from and what was going through his mind. And if he felt like that, then I stood beside him, and that would be that. The very next day, we received a full price cash offer. I presented it to my husband. Legally, I have to. He said, "What are you waiting for? Let's sign it." We talked it over a ton and considered all our options and decided, let's do it all over again. Our homestead went into escrow at the end of spring, early summer. It was supposed to be a 30-day close, but we had to extend it out another 30 days. Chad and I got anxious, wondering if it would really happen. Normally, we're building every day in some way or another. We were on standby, crossing our fingers and planning our next game plan. If it didn't close, then we were wasting some great building months, planting months, and cutting firewood months. It was a bunch of waiting around. We aren't used to that, and especially not Chad. We distracted ourselves with just playing with our babies and enjoying them. We knew that if it did close, then we would be very busy building our new homestead for the rest of the summer, and if it didn't, then we would be very busy playing catch up. Getting that phone call that it was a done deal was such a relief, but that meant go time. We worked it out with the buyers that we would have 3 days to move after it closed. Yeah, 3 days. I thought that would be plenty. We are go getters, hard workers, and apparently dreamers. I thought I had most of the stuff packed and ready to go, but as soon as I started loading stuff up, I realized I had a lot of work to do. Besides all of this stuff, we gotta move. We also have 3 kiddos, 3 dogs, 4 cats, 30 some chickens, 5 goats, 2 pigs, and 6 piglets. Did I mention that our new property was beautifully treed, raw 20 acres? So in those 3 days, we not only have to move, but at some point, Chad has to pull away and cut a driveway in through timber and clear a spot for our travel trailer to go. And we have to set up temporary pens for our animals. This is still on top of our daily chores on the homestead. To top it all off, a couple days before our move, Chad's truck went down. So when we were moving, all we had to move was my SUV and my father-in-law's truck. It was also 100 degrees out that weekend. Oh, it was a lot of work. We needed to rent a skid steer to clear the land, but we weren't 100% that it would close that Friday, so we didn't want to put money down if we couldn't even use it. So that left us waiting till the last minute, and what do you know, but the time we called, they were all rented out. Okay, I have painted the picture of what is ahead of us. With all that being said, we are a young, blessed, happy, healthy family that makes the best of all situations we are put in. We know that one day these are the stories our grandchildren will hear about, and we love all that we have accomplished. I also booked a cruise for the end of October to help make the light at the end of the tunnel look a little bit more bright. Work hard, play hard, right? In all seriousness, we went into it with brave faces and worked our butts off. Luckily, there was an old logging road on our top 5 acres, and we were able to move a lot of the stuff up that road temporarily. We hiked into our property with loppers, shovels, fencing materials, and all sorts of tools in hand. We made the temporary animal pens out of T-posts and livestock fencing. We took trip after trip in the vehicles we had and started moving everything. We worked from sun up to sundown. Every night we went to bed exhausted and thankful for the break while we slept. Finally, a skid steer became available, so we had that delivered and Chad got started on clearing our long driveway and clearing off the trailer building site. While we did that, I took trip after trip. One was with goats in the back of my SUV, a couple more with chickens in a cage, and of course, cats and dogs. My father-in-law was able to borrow a horse trailer from a family member to move our pigs in. Thank God. Could you imagine them in my SUV? The piglets went easy enough. The other 2 pigs, our bigger ones, were a bit of a pain in the butt, but we eventually got them there. It was really exciting to see my father-in-law haul in our travel trailer. We also had to move Chad's sawmill, and luckily our neighbor was able to come down with his backhoe and help. 3 days turned into 7 for moving. It was a lot of work, but we did it. Everything was moved or loaded. We learned a lot of what we would do differently for the next time, but we were so excited for what's next on our new adventure. I think that in life there is always going to be obstacles, but how you overcome them speaks more about you than anything else. There's nothing easy about what we do. There's also nothing impossible about what we do. Next, we start making our new land our new homestead. The move was finally over, but the work is far from done.